we can more or less go out the front or that way. Hey! Oh. Yeah, I hope so. Yep. I didn't do all this. No, we're not filming. Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
In my shed.
Hey guys, I'm Dave, and this is Mimshed. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've popped in for another look, welcome back. In today's video, I'll be helping out a fellow YouTuber who has an oil leak from his steering rack on his 2007 BMW 335i. This could be an interesting video because there's no information or parts available from the manufacturer. So we've been able to source an aftermarket seal kit and bits and pieces. So please join us as we muddle our way through this one. So if you like this sort of content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. All right, let's get into this one. Okay guys, we have a ZF Friedrichshafen 7853 steering rack out of a 2007 BMW 335i E93. And we have an oil leak out of this side, which is the driver's side. So that means the seals have gone. So we need to rebuild the whole rack. And we have a seal kit here. And part number there for your reference. So that's our object for today, or for this video, is to reseal this steering rack. Okay, first things first, we need to remove the tie rod ends. But before that, we need to take a measurement so they go back in exactly the same place, otherwise the wheel alignment will be out. It would pay to get a wheel alignment anyway, but you don't want to scrub your tyres out on the way to the tyre shop to do that. So we'll get them as close as what they were by taking a measurement. So I've got a pair of verniers and I'm just getting as close as I can . So we've got 15mm on the passenger side. Driver's side, we'll go 11.6. Okay, so we've got a T50 Torx. We just loosen that off and you can screw off the tie rod end. If you're interested in seeing the removal and install of this rack back into the vehicle, I'll leave a link at the end of this video in collaboration with that channel doing this job. So that's an interesting watch as well.
Someone didn't hook up to the German spec.
Yeah.
Guten Tag.
Ball joints feel good. So yeah, there's a ball in there that these can rotate into so you can adjust your toe in and toe out. Removing the spring clip off the end of the boot. You can see where this one is leaking, and that's because we have a split and it's allowed contaminants like dirt and sand to get in there into the seal. So that will have to be replaced also. So there you have like a ball joint that allows you to turn this part of the tie rod end to adjust your toe in and toe out without removing the tie rod end off the hub, and also allows for suspension movement. We'll do the same to this end. Watch me stab myself here. And we've got to leak this end. So luckily we're doing both ends, so because this boot isn't split, the leak here wasn't apparent. Okay, the caps on either end of the rack are 1.5 inches. So I've found a small shifter to hopefully undo it. Oh shit, I have to put it in the vise. If it's right hand thread or left hand thread, surely it's not left hand thread. Do not use the cylindrical tube or cylindrical part of the tube of the housing to clamp the steering gear. Well, then how are you supposed to hold it? During our research of this project, we were lucky enough to find an online manual. It's not an identical steering rack, but it's very similar. Support the rack 3 at the spanner flat or clamp. I'll be recording this. That's bloody tight. Put this in the vise. Tighten the vise up. Gotcha. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, this is dodgy.
This is what's going in the 30 seconds I'm putting in my video.
How do I get that bloody clip out? That's another thing. So what I'm trying to do here is release a spring clip so I can remove the end cap and get the rack out of the housing. It's got to come out that way because, well, it can't come out that way. If you have a look, it's all housing. It's got to go that way. So I have to pull this one off too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. It's like cast on this end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
Yeah.
So how am I going to get that out?
Do you have to?
I've got to get that out to pull the whole thing that way.
But is it the same thickness the whole way through? Like, can you just pull this end off and slide it all out?
I don't know. I'm just going by what that says. I'm thinking we'll probably have to pull this part out too. Okay, that's it. So what we're seeing here is some rust, and that's because this split in the boot has allowed moisture in, and it's caused some corrosion on the tie rod. It hasn't really cause any great concern any further along. As far as rust is concerned, it's just a little bit on the edge of the shaft here. The main concern with that hole in the boot has, like I said, been the dirt that has got in. We'll keep moving. Now I'm supposed to get that out that way. I don't know if this is going to be heavy duty enough. Don't think so. Okay, I'm going to leave this snap ring for a while and move on to something else while I have a think about how to get it out. So what I need to do now is remove this paned area from the adjusting screw, and that'll allow me to unscrew that and remove all the preloading spring, etc. that's in here for the main pinion.
What's left of it? Please forgive the noise from the aircraft flying overhead. I live near a local airstrip and unfortunately it's a common occurrence. Why isn't that coming out? It'll be an O-ring holding it, I'd say. Is it full of gunk and just caught?
Yeah, more than likely. Getting a grip on it without damaging it is the biggest thing.
You better keep all of this in so I can use it in my 30 seconds. Can you leave it out one side at a time?
No,
So it
there's
looks
nothing.
like it's got little, like, tabs.
You see, there's like a little tab there, a little tab there.
Unless that's just weirdness. Or does it unscrew,
Oh,
maybe?
yeah, I'm just looking at that. Does it unscrew? Doesn't. No, it can't unscrew it because it's got a half moon thing on the bottom. This puts the preload on that,
Right.
so your steering's not too heavy or too light.
Mm.
So I don't think it'll.
Does it spin at all?
It's a little bit. Oh, look at that. And there's that part that needs to be replaced. Okay. I think next is this part. Probably not necessary, but I like to do it anyway. It's just put reference marks so everything goes back exactly where it came from. Always get my bald head in these cameras?
Yeah. Same.
We need to remove these oil lines. And that'll be a T30. I suspect there's O-rings under there. As suspected, tiny little O-ring. And a small one that end as well. Whoever washed it didn't do a good job. Sorry. Okay, what do we get there? T30 again. Now I don't know if we have any seals for this, so we'll need to exercise caution.
So my apologies here. It seems I've lost some footage of the next part of removing the housing from the rotary valve. All I did was remove the black plastic cap on top and gently pull upwards on the housing until it came away.
Okay, so what we've got to do now is put the pinion in the vise. And softly tap the housing. Voila. Now, The rack is completely free now. I've still got to get this spring clip out of here somehow. I might go back to the vise. Now, I don't know how I'm going to get this out. You're looking at my facial expressions. Back. Hope this doesn't turn into a Jesus clip. Yeah, stand back. Got it. Oh, gee.
Gone right in the glove of your sunlight.
Bloody hell. Says to empty all the oil out of the rack, but it's frankly quite impossible to get it all out. I probably should have mentioned that BMW don't have a repair for this rack. They recommend replacing the whole rack. They don't even supply the boots. So we're in uncharted territory here. All over my dead cat. Did I get yours on?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It bounced off you and got me. Ricocheted. Did it get the camera? Yes.
Glasses are a bit blurry now.
Waterproof.
Is that going to be in your 30 seconds?
Yeah. As long as you're including it.
Okay, I need to cover that up. Right. Okay, we can see some signs of rust inside on the rack. We'll have to get some emery and clean that up. Now, I don't know how I'm supposed to get in there to get them out.
What are we getting at?
There's a seal in there. If I get it out, how I'm going to get the new one in. So this is your end cap, and this is basically the piston for your hydraulic ram. It acts like a double-acting hydraulic ram, and your seal is for the other end is still in this tube. So oil pressure is applied either side which assists your steering with hydraulic pressure.
So if this seal was leaking, you'd have sloppy feeling steering?
If this seal was leaking, you would have fluid bypassing pressure side into the non-pressure side, and it would give you harder steering, for instance. We have some corrosion in here. More evidence of corrosion where water's been sitting. The rack sits like that in the vehicle, so the water has been pooling on the bottom. I'll have to get this back out in the wash and give it a good hit with the power wash. A lot of crap on the inside. How am I going to get that out, Josh? Probably should establish we have that seal before I go disturbing it. We have the two larger boot clamps. I'm wondering if that's that one. That is for that. 4 of the Teflon rings. So I think maybe those ones. Probably that one. Okay. Just got to establish what that one is. I reckon that one's that one. But how the hell I get that out and get the new one in, I don't know. We do have a seal there as well. Okay, this is your hydraulic assistance in this chamber, and you have oil either side of this piston. This rust that's on this rack, if you can imagine, this is the seal in here. That's travelling backwards and forwards over that seal, and this is like under magnification like a mountain range, and oil gets trapped in the valleys and actually transfers this end all the time, wearing down the lip or the sealing part of the seal until you get a leak, which is what's happened in this case. So we need to clean this up and hopefully clean it up enough that it doesn't destroy the next seal. So that's what we'll be doing next. Coming up nicely. Better. Slight little ridge there I might have to get rid of. For that I'll use a diamond stone. All I'm trying to do is knock the sharp edges off these marks so it doesn't damage the new seal. Yeah, that's better. You can see here, you can still see blemishes, but can't really feel them. So if you can't feel them, It usually means that they won't damage the seal. If you run your nail over them, if you can't feel them with your nail, it means it should be okay. We don't have much choice. We've got to reuse it, so yeah, look, I'm reasonably happy with that. Like my daddy used to say, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Still a little bit stained, but yeah, nothing like it was. Now I've got to wash the rest of it. I'm wondering if I should wash it in petrol.
Kidding? That stuff's $3 a litre.
Oh, I've got some stuff out of that quad. But I
It's going to be
need,
full of caramel.
yeah. When the shit's the fan and I around, I might have to put it in your mum's car.
Yeah. When the shit's then.
Yeah. So I've got some corrosion on the end of the steering rack here, which I'll clean up with a wire buff. I'll need to get inside there with a buff on the end of a drill, just to give that a bit of a clean up. Simple as that. Not too bad. Okay, so it's the next day and we're going to be replacing the seals in the outer tube. There's a small like nylon bush on this end which will easily flick out. There it goes. I've made up a tool with a washer on the end to get the seal that's inside the outer tube and drive that out. I just need to put something over this so it doesn't damage the machine surface inside here. Okay, engage that washer into the lip of the seal. There you go. I'll just give it a couple of light taps and it should drop it out. Watch the other end. And there we are. They've popped out. I don't know if you can see down there or not. The seals are out. So we just have this seal here to get out now. This seal could also have been an issue with hydraulic fluid leaking out of the actual supply, past this seal down into this chamber and out the boot. So we need to replace this one as well. The seal surface on the shaft looks fine. So we're all good there. So we'll get this one out. As as easy as that. Bearing in mind the pressure seal, the lip must go against the pressure side. If it goes that way, then the pressure can pass straight through. So always remember your pressure side goes to that side of the seal. It's almost time to get the replacement seal kit out and start matching up seals. The seal in here has a bearing right behind it. I'm a little bit nervous of actually pushing that seal and bearing out in case I damage the bearing. So what I'm thinking of doing is applying a little bit of heat to this aluminium housing. That will expand quicker than the bearing does, and hopefully it should pop out. So I might give that a try. I won't put enough heat on it to distort the housing, but I don't want to push on it with a hydraulic press either. But my options are limited. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh well, that didn't work. So heat didn't work like I'd wanted it to, but maybe because the housing is still warm, everything's expanded, maybe this will help with the press. And it looks like we are going. Yes, we have a win. Okay, next we'll remove these seals from the end cap. The end cap goes in this end, and that allows you to withdraw the whole rack to carry out this repair. So we need to get the seals out. The end cap also houses the pressure seal and the nylon guide bush. Teflon ring. O-ring. I'm not putting a lot of weight on this end cap in the vise in case I distort it, and that's why it's not holding very well. Gotcha. Seal is out. Nylon guide and another O-ring in there. That was a battle. Okay, now we've got the seal guide bush out of the end cap. There's just the O-ring, inside O-ring to go. Matter of picking that out. Give that a bit of a clean up. Make sure there's no rough edges. I don't expect many of you to know what this is. I'm showing my age. Leave a comment below if you think you know what it is. Make sure this fits nicely back in there. It does. Beautiful. Okay, now I think we can break out the seal kit and match up all these seals and bushes. So once again, we have the seal kit. I'll get rid of what I know we don't need just now, which are these smaller O-rings for the oil lines. 2 boot clamps. Don't need that. It's like a thrust pad. Determines how tight or sloppy your steering is. We'll need that later. There's a seal, there's an O-ring. That one looks familiar. Let's look now. Okay, the rest of these I don't think I need yet. Set them aside. Now most manuals will tell you to use the automatic transmission fluid that the unit uses to operate. That's a given. Whatever you're rebuilding, if it has seals or O-rings, you lubricate them in what they run in. So this is the oil we're using, fully synthetic, steering, suspension and hydraulic fluid. This is 50 Australian dollars per litre, so I won't be wasting it. I've just been to the kitchen and got one of my wife's breakfast bowls. We just need a little bit to lubricate everything. It's as thin as water. Nothing to it at all. Okay, we'll start with the end cap. First to go in. O-ring. First of all, I'll get some gloves. You don't know if these oils are carcinogenic for you these days. Although I think my old skin is pretty resistant to most things. Okay, first O-ring in. Second O-ring on. Put them aside so we don't get confused. I'll find a container for them. Next to go in. The guide bush. And then the seal. And again, the pressure side of the seal faces the oil, so it goes in that way. I'll find something to push that in a little better. Okay, so what I'm doing here, so I've got a socket with the right size outside diameter as the seal that I want to push in. But as with most sockets, they have a rounded edge. So what I'm doing is machining a flat edge on there, so it gives me a better pressing surface to push the seal in nicely. That looks lovely. So that's a nice crisp flat edge now to push the seal in with. So we'll give that a go. So here we are. Just going to push that seal down first. Sockets are a wonderful invention to use as spacers. Okay, it's got that seal in nicely. Now I can go and push it in the rest of the way with the socket. Make sure it's centered. And most seals have an outer steel ring covered in rubber, and that's what I'm pushing against. I'll just turn it a little bit. And I think that should be home. Lovely. That's this part of the job complete. Oh, no it's not. Just got to push that into there. Now this part of the job is complete. Next to sealing the pinion part of the power steering, remembering pressure side of the seal faces to pressure, so that will go in that way. Again, I'll need to find something to push that in with. And not drop it on the floor. Sometimes you're lucky and they push in. This one will go most of the way. This one may take the same socket. And it will. It's not going to be as easy to set up in this press though, because of the angle of the tube. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Hear that change of tone? Means the seal is home. Now comes the part I've been putting off. Well, there's two actually. One's worse than the other. Put the seal and the bearing back in this, and to put this seal back inside the tube. I have some ideas for this part particularly, but I'm hoping it doesn't ruin this brand new seal. Get rid of that before I get confused. All right. Guide bush can go in the end here. Bit of oil. We'll set this aside and we'll start on fitting this back together. Now what I may need to do is machine down another socket that will actually push on the outer edge of this bearing, because if it pushes on towards the inner part of the bearing, it will collapse it inwards and destroy the bearing. So I need to be very careful. And I'm hoping that I can push the two in together. So we'll see how we go. Let's get a measurement of that bearing. We have 30 mil. So of course we can't be 30 mil, it has to be a tiny bit smaller. Otherwise whatever I'm using to push the bearing in will get stuck in there. So let's see what sockets I've got. $29.95. So this time, as well as putting a flat edge on the end of the socket, I've had to take the shoulder off a little bit because I didn't have a socket exactly the right size. But now fits in there beautifully. So now we can go ahead and push the bearing and the seal in with confidence, knowing that I'm not going to push against that inner edge of the bearing and crush it, hopefully. We'll give it a try. What could possibly go wrong? Okay, so I've got the seal and the bearing partly pushed in. So now we'll go the rest of the way. Okay, we'll have a look at that. That looks okay. I'm just going to try the pinion in there. And that feels okay. Right, I think we've had a win with that. Okay, next is the part I have been dreading a little, is getting this seal on there and back into here without damaging it. I have to, the only way I can really get it in there and not damage it is to put it on here first. I'll use the old one as an example. It goes that way. Again, pressure side of the seal towards the pressure. And you'll notice as I push this over, how it catches on the teeth of the rack. Now if I put the new seal over that, it's going to damage it. But my idea is to somehow get the new seal over that, the teeth on the rack, put it against the piston with everything else behind it that needs to go in there, and use the rack to actually drive it into position inside the tube. That's the plan. Let's see how it works. So what I'm going to do is wrap this lightly with some electrical tape, and then I'm going to put a plastic bag over it and lots of oil, and hopefully we can slip that over without causing too much damage. Okay. Now for the plastic bag. Okay, the seal has started its journey. Except I've got it on the wrong way. Again, pressure side towards the oil. I had it on the wrong way. That's better. Trap for young players. Yes, it's not wanting to go down very nicely. I'm wondering if it's still way too thick. I may actually have to remove some of this tape and just use the plastic bag. Hopefully that'll be enough.
Please accept my apology for some of the dodgy camera angles.
going better.
I'm actually using the plastic bag to pull the seal over the shaft, rotating it slowly as I do so.
Okay. Success of some sort. Now I need to get this piston seal off and replace that. Seal pick kit, pick them up anywhere. Different shapes, 4 different shapes and sizes. Now this should be a Teflon ring with an O-ring underneath. The O-ring acts like a spring and keeps it pushed into the wall of the tube. Unfortunately, yes, I have destroyed it to get it off, but that's okay. There's an O-ring under there. Okay, let's see if we've got one of those in the kit. Now the trick with these is to put them in boiling water, makes them a little more supple and helps you to get them over into position. We'll put the O-ring on first anyway. Okay, O-ring in. These will expand putting them on, so you have to wait for them to go back into shape. Well, that one's gone quite nicely. Didn't need boiling water after all. Give it a bit of a roll. Okay, I think we can put that in now. What I'm going to do though is grease this section of the rack where the pinion runs. That of course will be separated from the oil, this seal and this seal and that seal. So if I don't grease it, it will run dry. What I have here is a high pressure, high temperature grease, suitable for wheel bearings, so it should be more than suitable for this rack. Okay. What goes in this way, you need to grease these, we need to oil these seals. What I will do first, put a little bit of grease There's a bearing at the bottom in here. I'll put a little bit of grease in there because once this rack goes in, I won't be able to do that. Okay, fingers crossed. Hope my theory works. Using this to drive the ceiling. If it doesn't, I don't know what I'm going to do. Here goes nothing. Okay, I think my seal is in position. Just give that a gentle tap. Keep your fingers crossed. Okay, I think that is all the way home. I just marked that to see if I could see it moving, and it didn't. Now, do I risk pulling it out again? You can hear that or not, but we're getting compression. So that seal is working nicely. Okay, that worked. I don't know what I would have done if it hadn't have worked. So I'm rather pleased. Next we'll move on to putting the end cap in. More oil. And we'll push it in all the way. Just going a little bit further. So what I have is a brass grip that shouldn't damage it. Shouldn't. Now if you can see it or not, there's a groove there for this spring clip. I had to knock that down past the groove to be able to get that in. Not the easiest thing to do with rubber gloves on. Here you are. Sitting in the groove nicely. Now this should travel backwards and forwards. Okay, that sounds really good. So far so good. Okay. Next is to replace all the Teflon seals on the pinion. Okay, let's pick these up. Again, I will destroy them getting them out. One. No O-ring under those. Like I said, if you do have trouble getting these Teflon rings on, I've found soaking them in boiling water makes them a little bit more supple. It helps them to stretch that little bit better. Let's hope these four go on like the piston one did, without any issues. Sorry, I just realised that the camera failed. The battery went flat, so I've lost a little perspective. So, but we're back again, and we're ready. The kettle's boiled, and we're ready to put these Teflon rings in the boiling water. I've got the wife's kettle, and we'll drop these in there. Let them cook for a bit. Should we try one? Okay, second one on. And the last one. From what I'm seeing, there's no way that they're going to fit in there. So I have to try and compress them. So what I have is a small engine ring compressor. I'm hoping we'll go small enough. Not a hope. Okay, all is not lost. Next option is hose clamps. Okay, so fitting the new seals to the pinion shaft. They are a little bit too large and you risk damaging them putting them into the housing. So what I'm going to do is wrap them with PVC electrical tape. That will give them the initial compression and help protect them for the next step. And then I've got some thin film, plastic. This happens to be an old x-ray back in the day when the doctor would give you your x-rays. Much to my wife's disgust, I don't throw anything out. Proof's in the pudding. So what I do with this, wrap it tightly around that. Tight as you can. And then I'm going to use some hose clamps. And this will help form the new seals into the grooves. I stagger them a little bit so I can get them nice and close to each other. And one more should be enough. Again, stagger it a little so they don't interfere with each other. Okay, now I'm going to leave that about an hour, and when I come back, hopefully those Teflon seals will be sitting nicely in the grooves where they're supposed to be. Okay, moving on, we'll change this out. New one and that one, and I think that one as well. Running out of spare parts, that's a good sign. Again, I'm going to put a bit of grease on here because this chamber is full of grease, not oil. Spring, O-ring, I'll have to set that later when the pinion goes in. Okay, it's been an hour. Let's remove these hose clamps. Fingers crossed, my workaround has worked. Okay, find the end of the tape. Got a little bit of goo from the tape, which I'll clean off with some isopropyl alcohol. They're sitting in their grooves nicely. Let's fit it to the housing. As always, lubricate the parts and what they're running in. And I'll do the same with the housing. Okay, moment of truth. Slightest bit of resistance, which is good. Okay, that's in. I'm liking it. Now we can fit this unit back to the main rack. In there. Bit more oil around the seal. And I'll need to put some grease on this spline. And a little bit on the bearing. Okay, we've got our pop reference marks. There and there. So I know it goes this way. So we'll gently feed that down into here. Actually, before I do that, I need to get a measurement of the rack ends to make sure they're in the same spot as when we pulled it apart. $78.55. Okay, I think that's near enough. Gently feed it down through the seal. And what I'm experiencing here is the rack is sitting on a bit of an angle to the pinion and it won't go in. Okay, I think we're good. Put our bolts in. What this little cap does, gives you a reference mark for the centre of the rack. It means the rack is centred. Same amount of travel one way as the other. So I'm just going to fit that on there now, so I can rotate the rack backwards and forwards to set the preload, and then I can bring it back to centre.
According to my sources, which is the internet, we need to apply just the slightest bit of preload. Now, if you're in the factory, you would probably have some sort of meter to tell you how much preload you're actually putting on the pinion. I don't have that luxury. So it's going to be an educated guess. Too much and the steering will feel heavy. Not enough and the steering could be too light and sloppy. I'm going to leave that there. I think there's a good chance, if we need to, we can adjust this preload in the vehicle. Now what I have to do is repeen these. I'll give it 3 positions. Okay, I'm going to recheck the measurement now. So I know I've got exactly centre of the shaft, centre of the rack. .5. .45. So we've got 0.05 of a millimetre between the two measurements, so I think that's pretty good. And my reference point is right on the line. Happy with that. So now we can put the plumbing back together. So this is where the other O-rings come in. Small O-ring. Larger O-ring. Now, of course, these don't have to be super tight because they're on an O-ring. Now, I think I mentioned it earlier in the video that BMW don't actually have a repair process for this rack. They recommend you just buy a brand new one. But there are aftermarket kits out there if you did choose to do one yourself. It's not an impossible job, but it does take a little bit of know-how and some special tools. So that's something to keep in mind if you do attempt to do one yourself. Okay, we've got our keeper plate. That's just popped out for some reason.
I will get a torque specification for these smaller bolts. And like I said, being on O-rings, they don't need to be super tight. It's probably plenty. Okay, heat shield. Put a bit of tape over the ports of these banjo bolts just to try and stop any dirt getting in there. That one's still got the tape on it. Okay, we'll wait for the new boots. That one has a hole in it, as you know, so we're replacing both. So that'll be tomorrow, hopefully they'll get here. And we can finish off this video and finish off the rack and finish off this video and hand it back to Josh to fit back in his car. Okay, so it's the next day and we have a boot kit. Just a generic boot kit.
Now I know using a generic boot kit isn't ideal, but with lack of a genuine option, I don't have much choice.
First things first, I will screw in the tie rod end and tighten that up. Okay, tie rod ends on and tight. Now for the boots. Just a matter of stretching them over until they fit. This end could be a little bit more tricky, but we'll get this clip on. Just be aware, these clips are real finger pinchers. If they slip out of your pliers and whack you on the finger, you'll know about it.
I didn't show the whole battle with this boot, but believe me, it was epic.
Sort of push it down as I get around. Hold on. Okay. Okay, that's one boot on. Next. And the fun starts again. Easy. Getting better at it the more we do it. Okay, we're done. Okay, we'll screw the knuckles on. And this is where we need to use that measurement we took at the beginning, so that our wheel alignment is somewhere near where it was when we removed the rack from the car. So it's roughly there. I'll just grab my vernier calipers, zero them. And passenger side was 15 millimetres. Bit more yet. .13, so we'll do that up there. And it was a 250. Once it's in the car, we can tighten these up properly. Recheck the measurement. 1501, pretty happy with that. Now for the driver's side. Check that. We need a measurement of 11.6. 12.68. .7. I think that's pretty good. And we'll take care of that, like I said, once it's back in the car. Steering rack's ready to go back in the car. Okay guys, we've come to the end of the video. We have a refurbished, resealed rack out of the 2007 BMW 335i, and it's all ready to go back into the car. So I hope you've enjoyed the video as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. So if you like my content, then please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did I do a good job or not? Should I have bought a new rack? Or just re-kitted this one like I have? Anyway guys, till next time, thanks for watching. So now, all I need to do is hand it over to Josh.
All right, thanks Dave. So yeah, now we're going to put this back in the car and see how we go.